Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal and good day. You are listening to Awaz Community Radio. Today we'll be talking about a focus group that was recently organised by Muslim Women's Network UK. To contact us, you can catch us on our website www.awazcommunityradio.com. If you want to drop us an email, it's awazcommunityradio@gmail.com. If you want to give us a bell the old-fashioned way, it's 0161 839 9817. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. For Facebook, just type in Awaz Community Radio and tweet us on Awaz Radio 122. Thank you for listening to Awaz Community Radio. Your host for today is Saira, and our guests today will be Shabnam and Shabana. Hi Shabnam.
Hello.
And hi Shabana.
Hi.
So the three of us recently attended a focus group which was run by Muslim Women's Network UK. It's an organisation chaired by Shaista Goher, MBE, and the focus group was asking the question about why are South Asian and Muslim women not complaining enough about public services. Now, I would like to hand over a little bit to Shabana and Shabnam, who accompanied me that day, and talk a little bit more about the barriers to complaining about public services. So, girls, what do you think is affecting ladies?
I'm going to start off by saying a lot of people tend not to complain, maybe because, number one, they don't realise that they complain. They just think that a service has been provided and the way it's been provided, that's all they know. If they're not happy with something, they don't realise that they can actually complain. One of the main barriers, I believe, really is language. Most of these services are led by people who can't speak the language from the community. So that's the first and foremost barrier. For me personally, I've been thinking that is actually, if I complain, will anything actually be done? And what will be the outcome? Thirdly, I think for a lot of people would be the time consuming. Do people really have time these days to make a formal complaint, whether it's verbal or even, a written format?
How do you feel about that, Shabnam?
I agree with what Shabana just said. I think the time thing is the biggest issue with me as well. Do you really want to complain about something and carry this on for 3-4 months? People want results straight away. And especially when it's small issues like maybe complaining to your GP about a receptionist or going to the hospital and the nurse not treating you well. You want results straight away and not go through a process where you say, oh, well, you need to write in or email us with your complaint. People don't want to do that these days. And I think that's the biggest issue where I see it's actually the process of them dealing with the complaint.
I think people often feel in the community that they shouldn't complain, and what they should realise that it is actually okay to complain. If ever they're in a situation where they're really not happy with the service, they should have the confidence and the ability to go up to whoever's maybe working at within the office and have the ability and the confidence and express their feelings, express their concerns, and say, look, I'm not happy with what's happened, or I'm not happy with the service, and not be made to feel be judged at why we're complaining. They should feel completely comfortable and have the right to complain, but I doubt many people feel like that.
Do you think perhaps one of the issues there is language?
Most likely. But often you'd find that a lot of these government services and service providers will have interpreters on hand anyway, or people who attend appointments can now opt for having an interpreter there. So through the interpreter, they should be made made to feel that, yeah, they can complain. And often I think services themselves are not giving enough information to the public that, yes, they are allowed to complain. Not many people know about things like the patient charter. And in there it says that if you're not completely happy or comfortable with a service that they've been provided, you have the ability to complain. And people are not being made aware of these things, that yes, it's okay to complain.
I think the other thing is when they say that you've got a complaint and they go, oh, can you send it in writing? I mean, people go home and they don't want to do that.
No.
They want to respond straight away.
It makes it more time consuming.
Yeah, I mean, even apologies to say, oh, we're sorry, is sometimes it's good enough. And you know that they have taken this on the board, that they have noticed that, yes, you made a complaint about something. But then when they just turn around and say, oh, well, can you put your concerns into writing, or could you email us and we'll look into it? Who looks into it? Where does this email go? Nobody knows, because you never get a response back.
So more information needs to be shared then.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just to make the public aware that it's okay to complain. Because not many people will probably feel embarrassed, or if I complain, or if, I make a display of myself. But no, and there should be discreet ways of making complaints, not just, kind of airing your views in public, but maybe, kind of maybe being able to go to one side, or just doing...
maybe just, if they can just say, well, I've got a complaint, and the person who they're speaking to say, all right, okay, we can go on the side and speak.
Yeah.
Instead of they standing there saying that, oh, what is it? Oh, right, well, can you put it into writing then?
Yeah.
Even they've asked you what the complaint is, they'll turn around and say, well, put it in writing. Why are you asking us then?
Shall we also highlight which public services that we're referring to? So that includes places like the GP surgery,
NHS,
the job centre,
yeah.
Inland Revenue, DWP, all these government services. There's quite a few on the list. Even
the
Her
council,
Prisons, housing, yeah.
And so, I mean, we all know people who have got reasons to complain about these, but for some reason, not enough South Asian and Muslim women are complaining.
Yeah.
Even the schools. I mean, if you have a complaint about a school you're not happy with, there is more areas where you can complain than just to the head teacher. I mean, most people will think the head teacher is the last point where you can complain, but that's not true.
Yeah,
there are more sectors where you can go and complain, but that information is not given out to the public. Which I think it's the job of the head teacher to do that. If they can't resolve something, they need to say, well, if you're still not satisfied the way we've dealt with it, this is the address, or this is the place where you can ring and take your complaint further. But half the time, this does never ever happen.
I'll be honest though, I recently went into my doctor's surgery, and only recently I actually noticed on the reception window is now a note saying that if you're not happy with the service, or if you would like to complain, you can see the practice manager, and this is the number and this is the address. So that kind of stuff needs to be more advertised, or people are made aware that you can complain, and who to and how. So
So do you think with the another barrier would be with the not complaining is perhaps cultural?
Absolutely, and especially for women. But my point of view is that we are sort of grown in an environment where we kind of just put up with whatever's in our situation and surroundings, and we're not really given the freedom to speak up and speak out and express our views and opinions on something that we may not be happy with. So I think it is culture plays a major role, in my opinion.
So it can be in a way peer pressure, where you have shared your complaints with sort of other people, other ladies perhaps, and then there's that feeling that if you took it further, you'd be seen as a complainer.
Yeah,
Someone who moans.
I think not many people want that tag on them. You know, that you're a constant complainer.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a cultural thing. I think it's overall. I mean, if you start complaining on every single thing, do you think you're going to get labelled with that kind of tag saying that, oh, this person's complaining about everything, and so forget about that. And I think people are more conscious about that. Do we want to be tagged with a label saying that, oh, they complain about everything?
There perhaps is that stereotype that a lot of cultural issues prevent ladies from South Asian cultures from doing a lot of things. I think that's something that comes up a lot, doesn't it? Cultural. It doesn't sometimes get tagged along with Western society, the term cultural. But I think as people can see, especially from social media, there is that growing realisation that it's not necessarily an inverted commas Eastern thing. It's in the West as well, where people are realising girls and boys have been treated differently. They are being raised differently. And it's not just an Eastern stereotype, as it were. So perhaps even in the West, we do see it is seen as acceptable for girls to stay quiet. If a woman speaks up, then she's perhaps seen as bossy or domineering. When a man speaks up, then it's seen as, well, he's standing his ground. He's being his own man. And I think we see that a lot, especially with the media, when you see women in the public eye being criticised quite often, unnecessarily, for how they look, how they appear. We see that a lot, especially in politics. So do you think, although culture is possibly a very good reason as to what's affecting South Asian women, perhaps culture is also something that affects non-South Asian women from complaining as well?
I think so. We've been brought up in a way thinking that man has more power over women.
And I think that's actually all cultures, actually.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just an Asian thing. I think even in the white families as well, I think it is that, like in the olden days, they used to say man of the house or the breadwinner is the man. And I think just recently it's changing, but I think still in the old-fashioned people who are brought up the old-fashioned way, that thing still stands, man of the house.
A woman speaking up, even by fellow women, will be seen as, who does she think she is?
Yeah.
But you won't find that so much if it's a man who speaks up.
No.
So we're trying to challenge those stereotypes, aren't we? That's got a lot to do with why people don't complain. I think there's a comment that Shabana said to us earlier before we started this, that is Britain actually generally a country of non-moaners, non-complainers?
To be honest, I think we are. I think we are a country of complainers. But my personal opinion is I think it's all right to complain. I personally do complain a lot. If I go out for a meal and I'm not completely satisfied, but then I'm very careful as to how I do it. I'm always very, kind of approach it in a calm manner. I want to go shouting the odds and saying, oh, such and such.
Here at Awaz Community Radio, we're not advocating anybody use violence in order to complain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think I'm totally opposite to Shabana. If I go to a restaurant, I don't like the food, I won't go back again, but I don't think I would stand up and say, well, I don't really like this.
I wouldn't go as far as that. I would, often when you go in the leaving, or how was your meal? If it was okay, I would say it was okay. But if I'm not happy about something, I usually do say it in a gentle way. And it's feedback for them. At the end of the day, they could make improvements to make that particular thing better. Don't you think?
So that's what the point of the focus group as well, I think, was that they're wanting to try and make things better.
Yeah, and hopefully they've gained enough information and implement the changes to enable more women and from the South Asian community to feel confident in complaining about these public services.
Awaz Community Radio would like to say a really big thank you to Shabana and Shabnam for coming in to chat about their views and sharing their experience from the Women's Focus Group. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
You've been listening to Awaz Community Radio. Your host has been Saira. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can ring us on 0161 839 9817. We're on Facebook. Just type in Awaz Community Radio. Feel free to tweet us, Awaz Radio 122. Thank you for listening.